Hi, everybody. Welcome. It is August the 14th, where I am. Welcome to our online IIT Meet the Trainer with Sarah Peyton. Sarah Peyton is the author of Your Resonant Self and Affirmations and co author of a book with Roxy Manning. And she's going to be one of our trainers for the online IIT just starting here in October. It'll be 3 weekends in October. My name is Eric Wong. I'm going to be your technical support today. So if you have technical issues or questions in the chat, I will be monitoring those. I am the co-organizer of this event with Zach Yoakum. Zach's going to be your MC for today. I'm going to hand you over to Zach now.
All right, welcome everyone. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Sarah. And so delighted to be here with all of you today. I don't want to take too much of your time because I'd like to get to this wonderful content with Sarah. I'd just like to say that after Sarah has finished her offering, we're going to stick around and Eric and I will be available for any questions that you might have about the upcoming online IIT, which we're very excited about. So we'll be able to tell you more about that once Sarah is completed. So I'd like to go ahead and hand it off to Sarah Payton.
Oh, thank you, Zach. I'm very glad to be here with all of you. It's exciting. I'm feeling burbling and bubbling, sort of coming up to my throat, and in a good way. and what I'd love to begin with is to get a sense of like how many people are pretty immersed in NVC and how many people are new to NVC. So if you are pretty immersed, just give me a little wave, and I'll look at the and lots of people are off camera, so you can use your Zoom hand to wave at me if you're off camera. Okay, so lots of people pretty immersed. And then if you're like, okay, I've been interested in NBC for a while, but there's something about this that kind of calls me, give me a little wave. I don't know very much about it, but I've been interested. Yeah, great. Okay. Good to see. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. All right, that helps me to kind of orient for you. Because my passion, I was thinking about this morning, that when I ran into Marshall Rosenberg's work, I was a used and rare book dealer, and I was driving all around the Pacific Northwest for hours and hours. And I would go to the library and get CD sets. And I just happened to stumble across Marshall's Speak Peace CD set. And I was like, this is really cool. This is great for social justice. I'm going to learn about this. And so I went to a retreat that Marshall was running, and um, and was invited to participate in an empathy circle. I was like, what's an empathy circle? Because all I'd been thinking about was politics and big social stuff. And I went into this empathy circle, and and it was Mel Sears, who's a Seattle certified trainer, and she said, is there anybody who has an issue that you've been struggling with that's kind of really persistent for you? And nobody was raising their hand. And I was like, well, heck, I've got a bunch of them. I'll try it out. So I raised my hand and I talked for a little bit about my adopted son. I adopted him. He was a homeless kid, and we adopted him when he was 15 years old. And I just felt so nervous about being his mom. You know, it was sort of this like, how do you find your place? And especially, I felt like he needed to be hugged, and I could not figure out how to hug him. And um, and people started making needs guesses, feelings and needs guesses for me. And I felt like I was a little boat in a big ocean, and that I would go into a depth of feeling, and then I would come up being brought up by the needs guesses, and I could look around for a little minute, and the needs guesses would really land for me, and then I'd go back into the feeling. And I thought, this is interesting. Never experienced anything like this in my life. And as it came to a completion, what I realized was I had a spontaneous, it's interesting because we'll talk about this a little bit today, but it turns out that nonviolent communication is an incredible tool to regulate and restore functionality and structure to brains that have been impacted by trauma. My brain was very impacted by trauma. And what I had a spontaneous memory of being about 3 years old and reaching to try to hug my mom, who was mentally ill, and her recoiling, her tightening and recoiling, and my 3-year-old horror at reaching for my mom and her recoiling, then was translated into my experience of trying to hug this kid that I loved so much, but couldn't figure out how to, how to get there. So that just fell away. The problem with hugging just fell away. And I was like, that was strange and stunning. What the hell happened? And so I went and I started looking at that time, relational neuroscience, interpersonal neurobiology was just coming out into the world. And I started to track down research that showed why feelings and needs guesses changed me. And then that, has become, those of you who know me and know my books know that that's become the convergence that I've worked with ever since is how do we heal emotional trauma? How do we change human brains and make them a sweet place to live? So that's what I do all day long is think about that and write about that and teach classes about that and I'm a certified NVC trainer and I have the honor of having been invited to be part of this beautiful ancient wisdom and modern neuroscience nonviolent communication training for Center for Nonviolent Communication. And so I'll just pause for a moment and see if anybody has any questions about me that you'd like to answer before we go into looking at some neuroscience and how it makes nonviolent communication more powerful. Hey. So, yes, okay, good. So here we are, meet the trainer, meet me. And I live on the Chinook Nation's land, and they had their land taken by false treaty from the United States government. So the Chinook Nation I do contributions to. So we have two hemispheres. Now, in the 1980s, people got really excited about there being two hemispheres. And it got kind of, like it kind of strayed pretty far from science and got kind of goofy. So sometimes people are like, "Oh, that's just complete BS," because they remember the demythologizing that happened after the great, flourishing of right and left brain experience. But it turns out that there is neuroscience that supports a deeper understanding of what we're looking at. Each hemisphere does everything. Not one hemisphere doesn't do something and another hemisphere do another thing. They all do everything, but they do them in different ways with radically different starting points. The left hemisphere neurons are a bit like a marching band or a little army that's marching. And the right, so the way that they communicate together is they can only really, the neurons in the left hemisphere can only really communicate with the ones that are right next to them, the neurons that are right next to them. I'll show you a slide of the neurons in just a moment. And the right hemisphere neurons are like, those ribbon dancers, those dancers that have those really long ribbons as shown in this picture, and their neurons stretch so far across the hemisphere so that the left hemisphere actually weighs more than the right hemisphere. This particular representation looks like it's symmetrical, but the hemispheres are not actually symmetrical. They actually have a slightly different shape, and we'll see that in just a moment too. So the structures we rely on in our brains give us our ways of being in the world. So you can see on the left side, the little soldiers with their touching each other with their Tyrannosaurus Rex kind of dendrites, their little arms. And then you see on the right, you see the kind of hemispheric neuronal structure that we see in the right hemisphere. See how long those neurons are. So what this means is that throughout the animal world, we use our left hemisphere to see and track details and progressions of things. And we use our right hemispheres for the big picture. So if we're a pigeon, we're using our left hemisphere to peck little pebbles and tell them from seeds. And we're using our right hemisphere to scan the world to see if there's a hawk coming, to eat us. And as humans, we use in nonviolent communication, we use our left hemisphere to figure out observations, feelings, needs, requests, and how to put them together and to do them in order and to figure out this sort of strange mechanical structure that we are imposing onto our language to give us the relief that we are hoping for in terms of conflict or connection or self-knowledge. And then we've got the right hemisphere going, oh my God, what a beautiful thing NBC is. Look at that big picture. Look what we could do for the world. So there's a global vision and a capacity and a sense of beauty and grace. And there's a, let's get these bolts tightened and these screws screwed in kind of a way that gets to be integrated with practice and mastery. And so that's what a virtual intensive training does. That's what any intensive training does, is it gives your brain a chance to bring together the nuts and bolts and the spirit of a thing and bring them into integration and expression. And you folks are welcome to put questions in the chat as well. I don't have a chat open right now, but I'll open it when I stop sharing the slides again. So now let's think about attention and the way that we pay attention. And Ian McGilchrist is one of the most interesting writers right now. Let's see if I have a picture of Ian. There he is. He's on the left. And then Alan Shore is the other guy who writes really big, thick books about relationality and parenting and science, the science of the hemispheric, an understanding of what's called brain lateralization, the way that we lean into one hemisphere or another for certain things. So Ian McGilchrist says, attention is not just another cognitive function. It is, as I say, the disposition adopted by one's consciousness toward the world. It's like the foundational starting point of how we look at the world. Absent, present, detached, engaged, alienated, empathetic, broad or narrow, sustained or piecemeal, it therefore has the power, our attention has the power to alter whatever it meets. We're going to do an exercise where you'll get to experience how your attention alters your perception of a partner in just a couple of minutes. And Ian McGilchrist says also, the best way I can put it is that the manner in which our consciousness is disposed, that it is the manner in which our consciousness is disposed towards whatever else exists, attention is. The choice that we make of how we dispose our consciousness is the ultimate creative act. It renders the world what it is. It is therefore a moral act. It has consequences. Love, said the French philosopher Louis Lavelle, is a pure attention to the existence of the other. That is a very lofty and wonderful idea about love. I'm like, oh, I wish that I could hold on to that. Okay, let me just make sure I'm opening the chat and catching here. Okay. If you, this will help Eric, if you know that you don't want to be in a breakout and you know how to rename, put an equal sign in front of your name, equal sign for no breakout. And that'll help Eric to create the breakout rooms. And if you don't know how to rename, you can put a little note in the chat and we'll rename you so that Eric will know. Zach, if you keep an eye out for the notes in the chat that ask to be renamed and do the renaming, that would be amazing. Thank you. I got a thumb up from Zach. So Ian also wrote, attention may sound dull, but it is an essential aspect of consciousness. It governs what it is that we turn out to be conscious of, and therefore plays a part in the coming into being of whatever exists for us. And by paying a certain kind of attention, you can humanize or dehumanize, cherish or strip of all value. By a kind of alienating, fragmenting, and focal attention, you reduce humanity or art, sex, humor, or religion to nothing. Hello to Karen. Karen, do you have a question, or did you just have your hand go up without you knowing it, maybe?
Yeah, I did have a question.
Oh, good.
You were saying equals, put an equal sign up around the big breakout rooms,
Yeah.
but I don't have enough information on what the breakout rooms are going to happen. So I can't make an informed choice.
Yes, we'll make an informed choice in a moment. Some people already know because they know that they're taking care of their 3-year-old or something like that. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how attractive I make the breakout rooms. Yeah. So, but we'll catch you on the second thing once we know what the breakout. Yeah. Thank you, Karen. Okay. So the way we pay attention depends on which hemisphere we're using as a lens. And I already introduced these guys to you. They both say that our right hemispheres are structured by relationship and change our brains. And we already know about it. So now we're going to look at each other just for a moment before we go into the breakouts. I'll do also a demo of the breakout that we're going to do. But we're going to look at each other just for a moment. Look and see, okay, who looks like they might have a Marshall Rosenberg book that you could borrow from them, that they would be like actually willing to send it to you in the mail. Just take a look and see who has them. Who do you think looks like they would do that? And see what happens with your breathing, with your face, with your posture. Oh, yeah, with what your eyes feel like. And now close your eyes for a moment, kind of shake off that searching. And before you open your eyes again, I will say each of these people in these funny little Zoom squares has a brain with 86 billion neurons in it. It's almost an infinite system. The internet just caught up with the complexity of human brains about 2 years ago. There's so many possibilities, connections, new thoughts, amazing capacity. And so take a moment and look now. Open your eyes and look now. And see what it's like. How does it feel to breathe? How do your eyes feel? How does your chest feel? How does your posture feel? What is it like to be with the sort of wonder of people being almost infinite? And what do you notice? Just one person maybe who's willing to say something about how it was to look those two different ways. I love this as a kind of a discipline or a practice. I love doing it with the class every time that I offer it. It changes my body so extraordinarily. Yeah, Zach.
Yeah, I just noticed a shift, a total shift. It was like from one mode to another, really opening into that expansiveness.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Zach. And Patrick writes, I'm always amazed by how this affects the way we work, think, and feel. Oh, it's wonderful. So thank you both for responding and everyone else for participating. And Alex writes, does being left-handed have any effect on how one thinks, acts, and responds? It does, interestingly enough. Whichever hand is our dominant hand, it tells the hemisphere of dominance what to focus on. So as a right-handed person, I'm reaching, I'm grasping, I'm doing things, I'm making things happen. And that structures the left hemisphere and lets the left hemisphere know to specialize in in language, in doing, in using tools, in mastering the world. And then what happens with the left hand, if we use our right hand as a dominant hand, the left hand is used for relational gestures. We see this in infants before their speech even comes online. 4-month-old infants are already making their relational gestures with their non-dominant hand. Now, there's some skewing of the brain towards those neuronal patterns that we saw in the slide with the small neurons on the left and the long-tailed neurons on the right. And so if we are using our left hand as our dominant hand, it's wiring to the right hemisphere, and the right hemisphere is becoming instrumental, but the right hemisphere has a predisposition to see the big picture. So there's some research that shows that left-handers have an easier time moving to big picture thinking. There's some more interesting research, but that's the one that comes to mind for me. Alex, how do you what is it like to hear this? Are you left-handed? Is this an interesting sideline for you?
Yes, I am.
Does it accord with your experience?
It's too soon to tell. Let me think about this.
Okay. Thank you. Wonderful to hear your voice. And Allison writes, responding to earlier question about how I was differently impacted by Sarah's two invitations. One, I was looking with empathy and appreciation, but judgment. Who looks the nicest? And oh, isn't it nice? I have a teddy bear behind me. I must qualify as looking like a good candidate to have and send an NVC book. And I do, and I would. Two, I'm looking at everyone with equal awe and reverence and a sense of connection. That was a surprisingly impactful invitation. Thank you so much for writing, Allison. So now we're going to prepare you for a breakout. The presence of the other. The essential difference between the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere is that the right pays attention to the other, to whatever it is that exists apart from ourselves, with which it sees itself in profound relation. This makes me cry. It's what I long for our world. Now, what Ian McGilchrist, who is the author of this quote, does not quite talk about, because I don't think that he's quite as traumatized as some of the other of us, is that the right hemisphere is the home of unprocessed trauma. So if we have, within us, the dogs of hell, like the dogs of war, like stop working for just a moment, and that lets slip the dogs of war. You begin that internal self-cannibalization of negative self-judgments, negative judgments of others. Then it's very tricky to begin to open to the right hemisphere. It's much safer to stay in the left hemisphere if we have not been fully held in our trauma. And actually most of the world has not been fully held in their trauma. And so for most of the world, it's much easier to stay in the left hemisphere. So it's much easier to stay where there are rules, like, no, you shouldn't talk that way, or that's not NVC, or that kind of place that we can get into when we're initially learning, where we just want the rules to be followed. That is a very left hemisphere place. It's also a very safe place. It's the safe place of right and wrong. And many of you may remember that Marshall quote that says, or I guess it's a Rumi quote, but Marshall quoted it. I will meet you out beyond the fields of right and wrong. I will meet you. And that's kind of what Rumi's saying, and what Marshall's saying is that there's a movement into the right hemisphere that nonviolent communication gets to support. And And because some of us have trauma, the work that nonviolent communication does with feelings and needs structures the right hemisphere and resolves trauma and makes it possible to go ever more deeply into the study of this beautiful, beautiful modality. So here's Martin Buber, an amazing philosopher who said, when we encounter another individual truly as a person, not as an object for use, we become fully human. And in resonance, in empathy, in nonviolent communication, we hold the intention to see the other as thou. Now we'll do our breakout. I've certainly been talking long enough, but I'll do this as a demo first. Is there someone who does not mind being recorded? We're not actually live streaming, Eric told me, but even though that was in the little paragraph, but we are being recorded and people will be able to watch this. Brigitte. Hello. And is it Bridget? Remind me, I'm sorry to not remember.
It's Bridget.
Bridget.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I'm going to
okay.
lower my hand, okay? So there we go.
Okay, lower your hand. And I'll spotlight us so that we are what is seen. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to practice moving between I and thou. So the first, or rather it and thou, the Martin Buber it and thou. So I first get to look at my practice partner as a task, a riddle, someone to be fixed or helped. Let me put these instructions into the chat so that you can follow along with me and with Bridget. There's the title. And here's the instructions. There. Okay. So I get to look at Bridget as a task, a riddle, someone to be fixed or helped. And I notice my own body sensations within my torso, my throat, and face. And I notice that I'm holding my breath a little bit. My chest is a little bit tight. My stomach is a little bit tight. I'm like, there's got to be effort here. We got to fix this. And Bridget, what do you notice about how it is to be seen in this way?
Not connecting. Not feeling held. The opposite. Just separation, like a sense of distancing.
Okay.
And maybe on my part, like a pulling back.
Yeah, with good reason. Okay, now I get to do it a little differently. Now, first I find myself, because I won't know that I have focused on Bridget in the thou way until I notice my own self as an existing being. So I have like some hope and tension I feel in my jaw and in the muscles of my cheeks, and then I have this kind of warm, open heart, and there's tension in my belly. That's how I am without paying any attention to Bridget. Now I attune to my partner in welcome, bringing my attention to her, allowing my conscious awareness of Bridget's existence to change my body sensations or thoughts. We'll talk about thoughts in a moment. I'm going to look for places where I soften or become warmer in welcome and speak aloud about what happens for me. So bringing my attention to Bridget, I have to recover from the instrumentality, let my body arrive. So now I have this kind of gentle, like it's really gentle heat, but it reminds me of them when you look off in the distance on a hot day and you see the wavy lines. And so that's what's happening for my body as I bring my attention to Bridget in this way. And what do you notice, Bridget?
Like a little tickle in the top. I'm actually quite surprised. It's not like you're new to me. There was like there's tears coming to my eyes. It's kind of unbelievable actually, but when I really locked into your eyes, like just not locked in, but just like really noticed you looking at me, even though you're looking at me through glasses, it just touched me, and I felt a tickle in the bridge of my nose, and tears come to my eyes. They're still there.
Oh, yeah. It's so
Soft.
unusual to be seen this way. Yeah. And so now, uh, Nan says, it's now deep in my attunement to be noticing the body sensations that arise for me, not in reaction to, not being taken over by. Oh, this is from a different exercise. Let me take out one sentence, but rather feeling to exist. Oh yeah, we'll just take that part out. We won't deepen in this way because that was a setup from another class that I didn't realize I had gotten in. So put it in the correct instructions in. And so then we would reverse in a breakout, and Bridget would get to look at me instrumentally and then let that go, breathe through that, and come back to looking at me as a thou, and then share what happened for her, and I would share what was happening for me, and then we would talk about it and thank each other. Thank you, Bridget. And so, I'm very grateful. And so what I'd love to do is to just take a moment to grab a need that was met for you by Bridget being with us and doing this with us. How were you touched or moved? What need was met for you? And I had needs met for surprise and sweetness and some kind of acknowledgement of the difficulty of transition between one state and the other. Thank you so much, Bridget. And so, Zach, let's see. I'm going to put a needs list in just so that you practice, your needs. Yeah, here's a needs list. I think this will work. Let me check. Yeah, that checks that, or I think that works. Somebody click on that link and tell me if you get it. And
Yes.
okay, wonderful. And so put a couple of needs in, folks. Let me get at least 3 or 4 needs met from the list in for Bridget. And Bridget writes, needs met for kindness, care, being held in sweetness, and being seen. And we'll read a couple more aloud, and then we'll go into the breakout, which will be 10 minutes and there. And Eric is putting the breakout rooms together.
Zach, can I put you into a breakout room?
And he
Okay,
puts his
thank
thumb up.
Okay,
And
thank
Madiha,
you.
and thank you, Madiha, for responding, and thank you, Dre, for responding. Madiha writes, compassion, interest. Dre says affection, closeness, presence. And Pooja says amazed, appreciative, inquisitive. And Karen writes, moved, hopeful, optimistic. Wonderful. Connection with life. Wonderful. Okay, so now we'll put you into those breakout rooms and let you have an experience, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Okay. Sorry, I opened them before you finished your sentence.
Oh, still hear me.
Okay, let me see. Okay, let's see. Find your instructions, I think. Oh, okay. There's a thing. Let me. Okay. I'm going to move this person to room 26. Hopefully.
Great. And Enid, can you tell us how you're doing, or whether you need we've got room 6 is alone because of, I'll move 6 to 8.
Thank you.
But yeah.
I just my breakout room because there was nobody in there. I was in 5.
You were in 5. Hi, Bridget. Hold on. Let me see if there's anybody else who's missing a buddy.
Room 15.
Room 15? Okay, I'll move.
Thank you.
Move.
Go ahead.
I've got you. Did you get a new invitation there, Bridget, to room 15?
I think she's gone.
Good. There she is. Good, good. Okay.
I'm going to pause our recording.
Welcome back, everyone. And we'll move now to seeing if you have any questions for me before we go to the logistical exploration that you might have. And so just if you have a question, you can put it in the chat or you can raise your Zoom hand. Jess asks, will the recording be shared with us? I arrived late. Thank you. And I don't know about recording sharing, so maybe you know.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll go out to the list of the people that signed up. So if you joined us through the LinkedIn link that I posted, then you won't be signed up with CNBC and you won't receive the recording. So you need to sign. Eric, do you have a link for people that they can do the sign up to get the recording in? And I've just put into the chat that if you'd like to meet Roger Sorrow, he's going to do a Meet the Trainer session. He'll be one of my co-trainers. And his session is on August 21 at the same time, whatever time zone you're in. And I put the link, it's actually the same Zoom link, in the chat for you. And so let me kind of pull together the threads that you've been working with here. We can do nonviolent communication quite mechanically from the left hemisphere. And as we become more at ease with the needs, energies, and the feelings, words, then it becomes easier and easier and easier to see the people that we are with as a thou, and to begin to experience nonviolent communication really deepening our connections with one another. And there's quite a difference between doing nonviolent communication as a task versus being in nonviolent communication as a state of being. And I hope that what we've been talking about today and experimenting with and experiencing today gives you a sense of the difference, the way that feels so different to receive it as a to-do item versus to receive it as a state of being. And yeah, I'll just be quiet for another moment, see if there are any more questions, and then I'll turn it over to Eric and Zach.
I do have one question, please. I saw on that where it says receive a link that this is 2025. Will this continue into 2026 since I've just started? It seems like I'm late in the year.
Oh, well, this virtual intensive training is just for 3 weekends. You'll be able to attend these Meet the Trainer things during the fall. And then it's just for 3 weekends of intensive training in the end of October, possibly the beginning of November. But is it 3 weekends in from the first weekend in November? And yeah. So there will be others in 2026 with different trainers. And then, yeah. And if you love the neuroscience, grab the books, the Your Resonant Self books. And then, Mary, you started a question that says, can you say more about? And
below there is continuation. The reminder.
yeah, I can
I continued it. So can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I can. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Because you like unlocked something when I first learned NVC quite some time ago. Didn't know about developmental trauma, but I had deep right brain experiences, which were actually kind of terrifying,
Oh, my darling. Yeah.
because they were so deep and profound and like I couldn't. And so I think in a way, like I learned the left brain side just to stay in safety.
What a good idea. Yeah.
So can you share more about how you discovered the rewiring and what it actually looks like and ways to, create more safety for oneself to practice really
Yeah.
the spirit of it? Because I knew back then I was in more technique, but
Yeah.
I didn't realize till now it was the safety because of the depth of the rewiring.
Yeah. Well, this is such a good question, Mary. And I think this is a shared experience for so many people. Um, Part of the way to work with the rewiring, there are kind of two facets, two different sides to the work to rewire and heal from developmental trauma. And one is to really gently receive empathy consistently about really small things, just to start creating those feelings and needs links in the brain. And to notice your body as you're doing it, to notice how your body changes or how your thoughts change as you do it. And then the other really interesting aspect of developmental trauma is that when difficult things have happened to us as infants or toddlers or small children, and really through the whole life, but in particular when we're tiny, we make unconscious contracts that keep us locked in survival patterns. We are meeting very, very deep needs for survival and communion and love and contributing to our family. But the contracts keep us locked in a strategy that makes the developmental trauma persist instead of heal. So it's empathy all by itself doesn't get us where we need to go. We also need this other element, which is the work with the unconscious contracts. It's very deep, very beautiful work. Is this at all helpful, Mary?
Completely. Completely. Because I been doing a lot of work and actually started picking up your work recently. And it is that gentle piece because I
Yeah,
think there's a real capacity thing that happens. And once it hits a level of intensity or energetic pattern, the survival is like, oh no, we got this.
yeah,
It's our turn. So
yeah,
anyway, thank you.
yeah, yeah. The book that takes you through the unconscious contracts is called the Your Resonant Self Workbook. The first book is all about the self-compassion, neuroscience of self-compassion, and some of the stuff that we've been touching on today here. And then yeah, I wrote it in the chat at 9:57, the Your Resonant Self Workbook. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mary. And Marina says, why empathy and not compassion? Can you explain the difference and how this is being applied with developmental trauma? Thank you. What a great question, Marina. One of the interesting things about healing trauma in the brain is that it requires a dialogue. I was just working with a group of people who knew nothing about nonviolent communication yesterday, and they were all therapists, and they said, I'm still stuck. I have this memory from when I was little, and I'm still stuck. Have this memory of being locked in a closet, and I never, and it just stays in me. And 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 I've told that self that they are grown up. I've told that self, that everything's okay, but nothing changes. And this, I think, illustrates how much we need empathy dialogues. that whenever there's some kind of unconscious root that we don't fully know the full impact of, um, um, whenever there's something within us that's persistent and difficult, where there's intrusive memory, where there's developmental trauma, where we enter this kind of fog or almost insanity sometimes, it means there's stuff that hasn't been given words yet. And compassion is an experience, is a beautiful experience. And everybody can define it differently, but the working definition that I use of compassion is that you see somebody and you're moved by their experience, and you're even so moved that you maybe take action, that you drop money in a person's cup who's panhandling, or you contribute to a soup kitchen, or you go and you volunteer. Compassion leads to action. But compassion doesn't lead to dialogue. We need to be with the little selves that are trapped in the developmental trauma. And we need to say to those little tiny prenatal or baby beings or toddler beings, hey, little one, do you need acknowledgement of shock? Do you need acknowledgement that you were born for communion and that the world is broken and different than what you would wish it were? Do you long for connection? Do you need everybody to be okay? And so this is, I wonder, Marina, how did I do on starting to give you a sense of the difference between empathy and compassion in this particular way of definition? And Marina might be only on chat, so okay. Oh, I got a thumb up. Oh, good. Thank you, Marina. I'm grateful. And then Karen says, healing trauma and rewiring survival patterns is being done currently on a large scale with psychedelic assisted therapy. Beautiful stuff. And NVC can, it just augments those amazing journeys once you know it. Dre says, and then I'll answer this last question and then hand it over to Eric and Zach. Dre says, I heard there's trauma stored in areas of the brain that cannot be accessed by language alone. Is that true? Dre, what we were learning today takes us directly into the heart of healing nonverbal trauma. Presence, emotional accompaniment, letting somebody else be a thou and being with them in their memory. That's the direction that we can go that helps to touch those places that are not accessed by language alone. The whole right hemisphere, really. All right, so we got to touch these things very briefly, and now I'll leave it to if you want more, come to the virtual intensive training. There will be lots and lots more. And I'd like to quickly introduce Sylvie Horning, who just raise your Zoom hand so you come to the top of people's screens if you're willing. Sylvie. Sylvie's one of my co-trainers, my beloved friend, also teaches this material, and she'll be with us. She's in Switzerland, so she'll be with us at this VIT as a trainer also. Thank you for being here, Sylvie. And I turn it over to Zach and Eric.
Thank you, Sarah. And so glad to see you, Sylvie. And I noticed that we had Vanya Perez Moreno here, at least for a bit, and he is going to be one of the trainers at the VIT as well. So thank you so much, Sarah. We're just delighted to spend time in your presence and trying to absorb some of what you share and what moves through you. And
I'd like to invite everybody to just unmute for a second and make some noise for Sarah, if you would. Just everybody else.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much,
Sarah. Love
for
you,
the
Sarah.
deep presence and deep love. Thank you.
Peyton.
So come and spend 9 days with Sarah and Sylvie and Vanya and Zach and all of our team. And I just want to say something before we go into Q&A. You know, one of the reasons we're here, probably the main reason we're here, is because Zach has been working on getting this going for, I think, over a year and a half. And we would not have this at all. He kind of revived online IITs for the entire group. So Zach, I just want to express my gratitude to you for all of this hard work in getting this to happen, Zach. You really worked hard for months and months and months. So thanks very much, Zach, for making this happen.
I appreciate that, Eric. It definitely needs met for being seen and acknowledgement and support. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Would we like to move into the Q&A session? First, I'll just say that I think Sarah mentioned it and it was in the chat, but August 21st, Thursday, August 21st, at the same time, same Zoom link, Roger Sorrow will be offering his Meet the Trainer session. So it will be like this one, and there will be another Q&A session afterwards in case anything comes up for you that you didn't think of today. And we'll be having other ones for Sylvie and for Vanya and for all the wonderful trainers that are going to be at this event.
Peggy
Smith, yes, my dear friend and mentor, Peggy Smith, yes.
So, if it's okay, Zach, I'm going to answer a couple questions that we've already received in the chat. One question is about the live hours of the course. So we are going to publish soon, at least what we think is going to be the schedule most days. So the first day will be a little bit different. We'll start at 11 a.m. Eastern time on the very first day, that first Friday. Every day after that, the other 8 days, will be starting earlier. Okay, so we'll be starting at around, I think, 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. It's because Sylvia is in Switzerland. She'll be presenting early in the morning. Peggy's on the East Coast. She can present early in the morning. So the first day will start at 11 a.m. Eastern time. But after that, all the other days will start much earlier. And we're going to try to offer a session before the official opening circle. So if you're on the East Coast, you're in Europe, you'll have live sessions starting earlier. And I apologize, I don't have the exact time, Zach. Maybe you have them. So there'll be an early session, opening circle, and then a session, and then a break and another session. Okay? So if you're on live, you're on the East Coast or in Europe, or maybe in Africa, then you'll have the option of joining those earlier sessions. And then there'll be the later sessions. That might be too late for Europe and Africa, but and you can also have those. And then in the evening, there will be participant-led activities. So that means that you will all be able to offer whatever you want. It could be something as simple as let's eat together and talk about something. Or it could be that so there are people here who are candidates to be trainers. They might offer a session on MVC. Or you could offer you could offer a yoga session or meditation or something else. So the last session of the evening will be participant-led. Those will not be recorded. But everything else will be recorded, we hope, and made available hopefully before the next weekend. So you'll have that option to watch those. I hope that makes sense. Zach, what did I miss from that?
Just that the time that the early session is going to start is going to be 8:45 a.m. Eastern time, which I believe is 2 p.m. CET. Although that I think it occurs during the time change, so that might not be the case every day. We'll need to verify that.
Yes.
But definitely 8:45 a.m. Eastern New York time.
It's plus 6 hours for Europe. And the first, I'm not quite sure. The first 2 weekends are those 6 hours difference, and then we'll have the winter time change, which might be a little tricky then for everybody.
Okay.
And confusing, and we can navigate confusion.
We'll try to use an online tool to have the proper times listed in the schedule. But we don't expect you'll sleep at all during those weekends anyway, so don't worry. Karen, I saw that your hand is raised. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I do. So you mentioned that the first one is going to start at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So that typically would be our opening circle where we hope everybody can be there, all the trainers and all the participants. The idea is that we come together at the beginning of the day and hopefully we can close together at the end of the day. We know that might be hard for people in Europe or in Africa. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, and I'm on the West Coast, so I think that's 3 hours earlier. Is that right?
Yeah. So
that
it'll be
start.
Yep.
That would be like 8 o'clock for California.
Yeah, which is torture for me because I also live in California.
Yeah. So what about the 8 when it starts at 8 o'clock? Does that mean it starts at 5 o'clock, 5 a.m. on the West Coast?
So the morning sessions we added to support people in Europe. Those early sessions that are 8:45. So yes, if you want to get up, you can get up at 5:45 on the West Coast. Even though I'm an organizer, I will not be up at 5:45 to do those sessions. So, but Sylvie, because she's in Switzerland, will be there. Peggy is on the East Coast. They'll be presenting. So we wanted to offer a wider range of time slots. So because it's online. So those will be recorded. Sylvie will be, presenting in those later time slots. So we'll get to see Sylvie live. Right, Sylvie? Yeah, she's nodding. So
Yes. And there are other sessions later during the day for everybody, and those are like at 10:30 or at night my time. So that's a little late to offer sessions and to be really awake.
Yeah, the early sessions I view as kind of bonus sessions because the core IIT structure is that's the part that begins at 11 a.m. Eastern time or 8 a.m. California time. And so the early sessions, we just kind of added those on as extras for people in time zones that might be really supported for.
That's making sense now. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen, for the question.
I see another question here about says where I live, the hours of the training go on late at night. I was planning on watching the 2 last hours the following day before the rest of the training begins. Will that be possible? I think the short answer is probably yes. We're asking that everybody that signs up and registers commits to attending 75%, a minimum of 75% of the live in-person sessions. Just in order to really support a full experience. So really bringing the IIT experience into your living room as much as possible and really getting the interconnectedness and all of it. And then I see another question, will the rest of the Meet the Trainers be at the same time? It looks like they will. They will be at the same time. The next one will be next week with Sylvie, and the one following that will be
I think
following week.
Next week is Roger.
Sorry, so you're the 28th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the 28th. Sarah will be next week at this time, same link, and Sylvie will be in 2 weeks on the 28th of August at the same time at this link as well. And then following that, we'll have Peggy Smith on September 4th. And then we'll have one with Vania Perez Moreno, which I don't believe is scheduled yet. And I see another question. In the course, will we be required to actively participate or only listen? Eric, I'm going to hand that one off to you if you don't mind.
Yeah. I want to make a joke here that you have to participate in everything and speak at everything and do all the homework. But really, that's not true. We really, at least for me, NVC is all about choice and self-empowerment. So we'd love to have you. So really, please participate at the level that works for you. And for those of you who are new to NVC, if you go to a live event, you'll often see people lie down on the floor and sleep during some of the sessions. So really, the participation level is really up to you. This is not college, it's not high school, it's not a formal class. You're not being evaluated. At least I'm not evaluating. Maybe I should say that. I'm not evaluating you. So it's really up to you to choose how you would like to participate and how much you would enjoy, how you like to learn, and if you participate in the exercises, if you ask questions, if you go into the breakout rooms, hopefully you'll get more. And if there's a day when you're not feeling it, then don't do it. And if there's a way, we hope to also have, for example, a community room where hopefully it's like a lobby. So if you went to an event, there's be a lobby where everybody kind of meets when you're not in session. We hope to have a community room where you'll be able to hang out with other people from the group and bond. So maybe you'll be in there instead of being in session with Sylvie and Sarah. Sylvie will be very disappointed if you're not in her session, but it's okay. You're taking care of yourself. Does that answer the question? Who asked that question? Yeah, okay, seeing a nod. Okay, good. So please be in choice.
See another question
about how much you want. Go ahead.
Thanks, Derek. I see another question. Can you please share how many instructors will be in the, and is the instruction divided roughly equally between them, or is there a particular instructor who leads the classes? There are going to be multiple sessions, and we have 5 trainers. So we've got Sarah Peyton, we've got Sylvie Horning, Peggy Smith, Roger Sorrow, and Vania Perez Moreno. And the sessions will be basically equally divided. There are going to be sessions happening, so you'll have a choice of one you would like to attend, and others will be recorded. You'll have access to the recordings after the event as well. Wondering if that answers the question from Dawn.
Yeah, and yep, also Roger Sorrow. Dr. Talazir, yeah, no real homework. But you will have a week in between, which is kind of cool because even though you're probably working and have family life and social life, and because you have those 4 days in between each week, you'll probably be doing a lot of inner work. You'll be asking yourself lots of questions and things. So we don't really assign homework. You end up assigning homework to yourself. That's how it works. Is there specific content of the training? That question is from Marina. Our hope is to publish a list of the sessions that will be offered or possible sessions. It's not a commitment by us because what happens is like we put out a list of the sessions that will be probably offered, and we also respond to what's going on in the community. So if something if the trainers or there's a big request from the group or multiple people in the group, we might change the content even during the same day. But most likely you'll know the day before, and we'll provide a list of topics shortly that we'll be covering in the first weekend. And we'll provide the whole first weekend of content a few days before with this specific schedule. So, yeah. Zach, you want to take you want me to just keep going?
Sure. I did just post an answer to one of the questions, the registration link. If you'd like to take the next step, if you're pre-registered and would like to register, the registration and financial page link, I just added to the chat.
Thank you. So Amara just asked, will we get an agenda? The answer is yes. We will publish an agenda with the schedule. The specific, so we're going to give you a general idea of what the schedule is for day 1 and days 2 through 8. The general schedule will be, that's the first thing. So you know the date, the times each day. The second thing is that the agenda, which is the courses offered, we'll try to get the first weekend schedule up as soon as possible, but most likely, I don't want to guarantee it soon, but we'll get it to you probably at least a week before we start that first weekend, so you know which days. Thank you, Amara. And then the question is, will classes be taking? Yes, classes will be taking. The question is, will classes be taking place at the same time? Yes. So multiple classes will be running at the same time. It's possible there will be as many as 5 classes running in parallel. So we don't expect you to attend all 5 classes at the same time. And hopefully we'll have recordings available for you to watch. The next question is, will home groups be organized or self-organized? So what a home group is we will assign you to a group with 3 or 4 or 5 people total in your group. And the idea is during the IIT, you will meet with that group. Actually, Sylvia, can you take this question? Could you talk a little bit about what home groups are and how they'll be organized?
Yes, thank you, Zach. Sorry, Eric. Home groups are a space where 4 to 5 people are together and they're like a family. Because it can be overwhelming to be in a group of 80 people or 100, or I don't know how many will be online. But at the presential workshops or retreats, there are about 80 people. So that can be a little overwhelming. And so if you find yourself in a family or in a home group, there you can receive and offer empathy, discuss what went on during the day, have exchanges. And sometimes it also can be challenging and difficult to speak up in a big group and or to find your place in a big group. And so that's what the home groups are for. And there's going to be time every day to have home group meetings, and during the course of the weeks in between the IIT, you can also self-organize and see each other more often. That's what comes up for me right now as an answer.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, Sylvie, the last point is the important one. You will naturally form home groups with people that you connect with, hopefully. I believe they're called friends also sometimes. So if you like to make friends, you can invite people and create your own home groups as well. And, we'll encourage you to try the formal home groups. And if it doesn't work out for you, it's okay, and we do encourage you to meet with those people and practice empathy formally while you're with us during those days.
And just as an add-on, I'm still seeing my friends from my IIT home group 18 years ago. So that's really nice.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's a long-term investment.
Yeah. I think 6 or 7 of us from my first IIT in 2019 are now certified trainers, which is a large number. How are you all receiving your training? It seems excellent. Sorry.
I feel your pain. I feel your suffering. Here's the thing. Okay. I don't mean how. I guess I mean where. Or, so 18 years ago, there is a common way that you've been trained beyond Marshall Rosenberg. Is there location is what I'm searching for, or just starting this journey. Other than this, is this where you were trained? I'm brand new at all of this, so thank you. And that's okay. I don't feel laughed at. We're in this mess together, but I'm so new. I'm simply asking.
Yeah, I wasn't sorry. I hope you did. I'm glad you didn't feel laughed at. The word excellent was the word that I was honing in on. So I don't actually know how to answer that, Sylvie. Sylvie, would you like to, since I've got you here, would you like to answer that?
I'm sorry, Jess. I just got half of what you asked. Could you ask the question again?
Okay, so yes, I'll ask it more broadly this time also, and I'll come on camera, see if I can be better understood. So
thank you.
At one point in the conversation, there'll be trainers and there'll be people who are candidates to be trainers. And what I'm asking is what that process is. Here's a beginning 3-weekend workshop for people who are interested in learning about becoming a candidate. Is it within this group or is it elsewhere, or that's the question, please and thank you.
It's a lifelong process, and it's, to me, I started it out wanting to be able to speak with my husband and my children and my parents in a nicer way. And I didn't want to become a trainer when I started out with this NVC training. And the more I deepened it, the more I wanted to deepen it, and practice and be surrounded with people who have this consciousness and who have this vision of the world. And so I think it took me 4 or 5 years before I even wanted to become a certified trainer. And you can be on this path for a long, long time and never want to be a certified trainer. So this IIT or this VIT is one step towards becoming a certified trainer, but there is no need to want to become that, to enjoy it and to learn and to practice and to deepen. Does that answer your question?
I think the answer is actually many places is going to be my guess. I'm seeing Zach smile, so maybe I'm right with that one, and not just one place, which seemed to be. So thank you very much.
All trainings that all certified trainers offer go into the direction of deepening NVC.
Okay.
And so it's not like you take a VIT and then you have to follow a certain academic path. It's whoever offers something that you're attracted by. Yes.
Thank you. And Lynn said something in the chat about books. I appreciate everybody joining in, and I will do this as well as everybody else does.
Thank you for your question, Jess.
Thank you, Sylvie, for taking that. Go ahead, Zach. Sorry, go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, Roger Sorrow is an assessor, and he is also one of the trainers at this VIT. And so he's going to be presenting some things, weaving in some things to answer questions about certification and what might that look like, who are interested and will be certification candidates as well. But it's by no means you don't have to have the goal of being certified, becoming a certified trainer or anything like that. Like, I really love how Sylvie had said this is just it's a lifelong journey, and how yours, Sylvie, started with just learning and a goal of connecting and speaking in a more peaceful way. And
exactly.
Also that each of the trainers, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, it's not necessarily that I have a goal, but training and the discipline of training in itself is enriching. So it's the process rather than an end goal. And that's what I was curious about. And so when people say various places, then I know the process has been various places. So it's really a process question and not an end goal question. Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, part of the reason that I have initially envisioned inviting this team of trainers is these are trainers that I have really learned a great deal from, that have been deeply supportive in my journey. And each of these trainers does things on their own that are offered. So this is a way to really kind of get a taste of what these trainers offer, and to be kind of immersed in it as well, in this experience in this online IIT. And you may choose to do some of the things that these trainers offer on their own going forward. And we could kind of dovetail from this, because I see a couple of questions about certification and online training hours and things like that. So here's a question: how do online learning hours convert to days compared to on-site training hours? Do we get a kind of certification? So I believe, Eric, am I correct? They will get a certificate of completion, right? Or participation completion from CNVC, but that is not becoming a certified trainer. That is that you have participated in an IIT, an international intensive training. And as far as for those who are interested in certification, like I'm guessing the person that asked this question, there are criteria of number of days of training attended by certified trainers. And I believe the equation is a minimum of 6 hours equals a day, like 6 to 8 hours of training equals 1 day for that calculation. I'm wondering.
Can I jump in there?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. As Sylvie had mentioned, becoming a certified trainer is not a linear process. It's not an academic process. It's not like you go to a college and you take a certain number of classes and then you become a certified trainer. So in terms of this stuff counting towards a certification. So again, this you don't get any sort of certification. You get a certificate, which is just a piece of paper saying you did it. If you want to become a candidate to become a certified trainer, not a certified trainer, you need about 20 days of effort, 20 days of classes. This event online is 9 days, and officially of the 9 days, you can take 30% of that, or about, 30% of 9 is roughly 2.3 days. So you can take 2.3 days of credit officially. Having said that, it's really going to be between you and the person who's your assessor. So to become a candidate, you need to start working with someone called an assessor. An assessor is a person who works with people to become certified. An assessor is a certified trainer who's spent even more time in NVC and has studied how to work with people to become certified trainers. So it's a dialogue between you and your assessor, kind of like an advisor or a mentor, to figure out how much that counts. Having said all of that, I'm going to say something that is my own opinion. Most of this is my opinion, actually. The numbers don't matter that much. What really matters is, in the end, is if you become a certified trainer, the minimum, I think, is 50 days. Most certified trainers have over 100 days of training by the time they've become certified. So it's really about where you are in your journey and the content that you've learned, how you can communicate it, and the level of consciousness that you may have achieved in dialogue with you and your mentor, your assessor, and maybe your community. So I hope that makes sense. But you get a certificate.
And I'd just like to add something for clarity, and it counts towards certification. This is the IT, as you said before, Eric, it counts towards certification.
Yes, and I see a couple questions along the lines of when can we see an agenda? And I think this got slightly addressed, but we do have a working agenda, a schedule. And as Eric mentioned, there will be some flexibility that we'd like to be extended to that, just in the spirit of being with the needs of the group and the trainers and the life energy that kind of moves through the event and what comes up for everyone. And we would love to have an answer right now in black and white of here is the date you can expect to see that schedule. And I think from my perspective, probably we can, I think maybe have a tentative one that is more concrete than we currently have in 2 weeks. And I'll see if Eric or Sylvie have any strong feelings about that.
Thanks, Zach. I think we're gonna, if it's okay, Zach, we're gonna wrap things up. I think we've answered most of the questions. One question is, will you get an empathy buddy? I would invite you to get an empathy buddy, and an empathy buddy is someone you choose to do an empathy exchange with. So you're fully in choice. So for me, NVC is about choice and self-empowerment. So if you want an empathy buddy, we absolutely encourage you to try out a bunch of empathy buddies and see if you can do empathy exchanges during the event, because you're going to meet people who are wanting to practice at all different levels. Thank you for that question, Pooja. So I want to encourage you to, so before we adjourn, Zach, if it's okay, I'm going to start closing us out. Zach, if you could drop the registration link in one more time, please. We're going to encourage you now to, if you haven't yet signed up officially, please sign up as soon as possible. Your signing up now helps build momentum for us so we can do more things. And I wish I could tell you what those more things are, but we can't. But if you, when we get more people to sign up, it allows us to bring in more resources and more more options for us. So if you sign up soon, it really helps us. And I think our early bird ends in just about a week or so. So please consider signing up now, and that will help us. That will help us out. Second, please tell your friends, because you know you love your friends, and get them to come too. It'll be a fun time, we hope. And you can take walks with them afterwards if they're in the neighborhood. Actually, you could take walks anyway. And then the last thing is you should definitely send it to the people that you hate the most, because you know that they need to change to make your life better. That's a joke. Okay. So, but seriously, send it to people you don't like too, because you know what? Maybe you'll benefit from them teaching you something. No, that's not right. All right. Anyway, so we've got weekly things coming up. So next week is, I think you said Roger, Zach, is that right? Next week is Roger. And then the following week, I think, is Peggy.
We have Roger next week, and then Sylvie the following week, and then Peggy the following.
Same link. Okay, so put that in there, copy it down. And I see
On
Allison's got her
Thursdays
hand up. Sorry, Zach, go ahead.
On Thursdays at this time. Yep.
Perfect. Allison, go ahead.
Thanks.
There we go.
Sorry, I don't want to keep anybody here who wants to go. I just opened up the registration link, and nice to meet you all, by the way. I would like to know if there are payment plans, like a schedule. So there's different levels of payment. So when I click, is it all due now? Did you cover that already?
If you email us, we can figure out a way to do that, Allison. Yeah. If you email us, hopefully do you have our email address, or
I imagine I do, which brings up the question also, will you be sending to this group the Roger Sorrow and the future speakers kind of schedule?
Assuming you're pre-registered and in our system and we have your email address, then yes, we will continue to email you invitations, calendar invites, and emails. You'll get so many emails from Zach and I that you'll wish that you'd never, wait, that's not right. Anyway, but the point is, yes, we'll do our best to remind you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, I'll ask about payment.
And yes, payment plans are available with CNVC. Just send us an email. We'll forward that email on to the people handling payments through CNVC. And I believe it is possible to get the early bird price and get a plan.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Well, if you're still here, we invite you to. So thank you, Zach. Thank you, Sylvie. Thank you, all of you, for joining us. And again, Zach, thanks for making this happen. I wouldn't be here if you hadn't made this happen. So thank you, Zach. I invite everybody to unmute and just say goodbye to everybody, and we will turn off the recording.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.
See y'all later.